Hi everyone, I'm Ryson Sinek, and the shooter is not very well represented on my show. I mean, you have Caster, which was my first episode, which I didn't know how to talk then. And then you have Legendary, which I liked, but that wasn't a very good game. So let's look at something good. Alright, I'm game. Developed by Flying Wild Hog and released in 2012. Hard Reset is a cyberpunk twitch shooter with old school design ideas and current shooter thinking. You play as Major James Fletcher, who is kind of inconsistent. I don't actually know what he looks like. He might be this guy, but he looks like this in the comic cutscenes, so I don't really know what he looks like. So let's talk story. Actually, let's let the game tell you what it's about.
January 17, 2436. Sector 6, European District, Bazaar City. Most of the days are like this. I'm a proud soldier of the corporation. Others like me are made by the PR department to be sentinels of the sanctuary, the defenders of Bazaar. Amusingly, I do it for the money. We defend the sanctuary, a network that holds billions of digitalized personalities of human beings. The machines are our enemy.
That's the wonderful voice work of good old Stevie Bloom. I hope he doesn't mind that I call him that. As he said, your job is to work for the corporation, and you fight through the city of Bazaar against the machines who have invaded. Really, each mission boils down to, okay, you start here, go there. You see robots? Blow them up! Fletcher has his supporting cast of unnamed people until you meet Professor Novak, who promptly does that. Due to some ability that Fletcher has that is less than adequately explained, he is able to download Novak's mind, giving you the only supporting character with a name. This is a game where the supporting cast either thinks the main character is a high-functioning alcoholic, or is a freaking brain ghost. To sum this story up quick, job is to protect the city from evil robots, employed by Megacorp, talks to brain ghost, has gun, will travel. So that's our story and main character. Let's talk gameplay. I called this game a twitch shooter. You are expected to move and shoot very, very quickly. I suggest mainly using a mouse and keyboard for this game, as it was made with computer play in mind. Major Fletcher is equipped with his cybernetic eye, which gives him his heads-up display, a shield, which recovers automatically, and some sort of health thing that makes it so he's not instantly paced when a robot up and does that. Health does not recover automatically. You have to find these green things that are either dropped by enemies or scattered throughout the level. It gives you a nice balance between the more modern style of automatically recovering health and the more old school style of having health pickups. You have two different types of guns. The CLN Modular Assault Rifle, which I referred to as the Solid Gun, and the EEF-21 Plasma Rifle, which I called the Energy Gun. The Solid Gun gets the rifle, shotgun, RPG, grenades, and mines, while the Energy Gun gets the Plasma Gun, Blaster, Mortar, Homing Shot, and Railgun. Each of these weapons are effective in their own way. Each has a primary fire, a secondary fire, and a utility ability that can all be unlocked. You start with the basic rifle and plasma gun, and you unlock things from the upgrade terminal.
Thank you for using upgrade terminal.
Each gun uses its own ammo, with solid weapons using red ammo and energy weapons using blue ammo. But if your gun is really low on ammo, the gun will automatically generate it for you. So you have 4 pickups that are scattered throughout the level. Red ammo, blue ammo, green health, and yellow upgrade points. The points fill up a bar, and when you fill it, you get a point to spend at the terminal. Stop flirting, you're both on the clock here. I'm professional. Another aspect is the level design and enemies. The enemy robots have different ways of causing a situation, either by having a buzzsaw face, being a walking bomb, a huge lumbering gorilla, or by having ranged weapons to blast you with. The game keeps you on your toes. Enemies are placed throughout the level in different ways, sometimes coming at you in waves, or sometimes coming at you in encounter clumps that are activated when you get to certain points in the level. Hard Reset feels like an old shooter with a good sense of what a modern game needs. Each level has a feeling of progression. There is very little backtracking, and there are many secret upgrade points stashed throughout the level. Each area is set up very well, with the robots attacking you in groups that highlight their strengths and give you a way of dealing with them. or by simply having the enemies use the terrain well, and requiring the player to do the same. Now, that doesn't mean the gameplay is without faults. After a large encounter, occasionally the way forward is less than clear, leaving you walking around finding secrets but not knowing where you need to go next. Getting lost like that can be a little frustrating. And speaking of frustrating, this game is hard. I played on normal, and this happened ow, a lot. Thing is, even though you do die a lot, the game does try to get you back in as soon as possible. Yes, it does need to load a little bit every time, but because of the speed of the game, that brief load time makes for a good breather. And you're put almost right back into the situation that killed you because quick saves are everywhere. This game knows it's a challenge, and that people will probably die, so while it does not hold your hand, it will make those failures as painless as possible. Oh. Ow. Maybe not for Major Fletcher. Now, as far as how the game looks and sounds, I love how this game looks. The streets of the city have nailed the cyberpunk aesthetic. Even at lower settings, the world is that great combination of grit, grime, bright neon lights, and just super future. The looks really work. Things look dirty and ugly, and yet compellingly beautiful. Every street and alley of Bazour oozes with atmosphere. At least, I hope that's atmosphere. The robots look cobbled together, like they were constructed out of parts the AI found and just went with it. Every visual aspect blends to the tone. Musically, it is okay, with intense action songs that make you mad after a while because you're tired of hearing them. All other aspects of the sound, like the automatic vendors, the way the upgrade terminal talks, the sound of the robots, the announcements, it all lends to the fact that Bazour isn't just a big city. Bazour is the last city, and everyone is jammed into it. Let's take it home with our good, bad, strange, and bland. For the good, we're going with upgrades. The choices are varied, and there isn't really a bad option. While some weapons don't work so well on their own, they do have their use, either in their secondary fire, or by opening up other weapons to be unlocked. Really, each upgrade has a use, but they might not be useful to each person. So while you're selecting upgrades, you should probably read the description and ask yourself, would this help my playstyle? The bad is the ending, as it doesn't really finish anything. And the game had two endings. There's the normal game ending and the extended game ending. Neither really ends the story. It wants to sequel bait, so it doesn't really give a satisfying narrative conclusion. A gameplay conclusion exists, but controversial opinion? A video game is not solely about gameplay. Just mostly. A flat narrative conclusion like this one leaves people feeling, well, flat as the credits roll. The strange is the voice work. Other than Steve Bloom in the voice of Professor Novak, the voices are weirdly flat. And these people can do voice works, they can read lines naturally. They do fine during the cutscenes. Yeah, Steve Bloom certainly carries those scenes, but the others aren't awful. But during the gameplay, well...
A few blocks away, in one of the alleyways near the viewing tower, you will find a generator.
It's like they had a different voice director on gameplay versus cutscenes. For the bland, we have the names. Well, not all of them. There's the city of Bazour. That's cool. And if you know what it means, it works really well with the game's themes. But let's look at the other names. First, there's the Corporation. I mean, I understand giving them a name early on might be a little confusing, but what corporation? They need a name. The police force is called the CLN. I think that might stand for Corporate Law Network, or even worse, Corporate Law Enforcement. And of course, the machines. That was just confusing. Are all machines evil? Are all AIs not to be trusted? I mean, these guys are fine, I guess. When you call the enemy something like the machines, it's just far too vague. I mean, it could be anything. Our enemy is the Yontar, machines from outside. That would have worked, but generic names just make things confusing. Hard Reset is a fairly well-made game. While I could gush about the settings and the visuals, the story is kind of weak. The gameplay is solid enough, and even with the occasional unfair death, The challenge is, well, the whole game, with Extended Edition, will run about 10 to 13 hours. Hard Reset is available on Desura, Gamersgate, and Steam for $14.99. The Extended Edition is a free DLC. Till next time, I'm Ryson Sinek. You don't have a phone.